Driven into a merciless desert by the very people she was forced to serve, a pregnant and terrified Hagar staggered through the burning sand, entirely convinced she was going to die alone. She was a woman stripped of her country, her choices, and her dignity, cast aside the moment human plans turned bitter. But her suffering was not the end of her story. To understand how she survived, we have to go back to the beginning. Before her name was etched into history, Hagar was simply an Egyptian servant in the household of Abraham and Sarah. Years of barren waiting had made Sarah desperate to see God's promise of a family fulfilled. The promise where God took Abraham outside and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars. If indeed you can count them, so shall your offspring be." Genesis 15:5. Yet Sarah's arms remained empty. Taking matters into her own hands, she turned to her husband and said, "The Lord has kept me from bearing children. Go, sleep with my servant. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Genesis 16:2. Hagar, an outsider with no power and no voice, had to submit. Yet everything changed when Hagar became pregnant with Abraham's firstborn son. When she saw that she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Genesis 16:4. Domestic tension quickly escalated. Sarah cried out to Abraham, "I put my servant into your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me." Genesis 16:5. Abraham refused to take sides, replying, "Your servant is in your hands. Do with her as you think best." Genesis 16:6. With that, Sarah treated her with such harshness that Hagar fled straight into the unforgiving wasteland. It was there, collapsed beside a desert spring, that the unexpected happened. The angel of the Lord found her and asked, "Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going?" Genesis 16:8. She admitted she was running away. The angel gave her a difficult command. "Go back to your mistress and submit to her." Genesis 16:9. But then came a massive divine promise to sustain her. "I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count." Genesis 16:10. The angel added, "You are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard your affliction." Genesis 16:11. Overwhelmed that the Almighty cared for a forgotten slave, Hagar gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. "You are the God who sees me." For she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." That is why the well was called Beer Lahai Roi, Genesis 16:13-14. Hagar bravely returned, and when she bore Abraham a son, Abraham gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael, Genesis 16:15-16. 14 years passed, and Sarah miraculously gave birth to her own son, Isaac. Instantly, old jealousies reignited. At a great feast, Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking, Genesis 21:9. Terrified of sharing the family inheritance, Sarah demanded, "Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac." Genesis 21:10. The matter distressed Abraham deeply because of his son Ishmael, but God told him, "Do not be so distressed about the boy and your slave woman. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring." Genesis 21:12-13. Early the next morning, Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He set them on her shoulders and then sent her off with the boy. She went on her way and wandered in the desert of Beersheba, Genesis 21:14. It didn't take long for the water to run completely dry. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down about a bow shot away, for she thought, "I cannot watch the boy die." And as she sat there, she began to sob, Genesis 21:15-16. But the wilderness would not claim them. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, "What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation." Genesis 21:17-18. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, saving their lives. Genesis 21:19. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. Genesis 21:20-21. Ishmael lived 137 years, breathed his last, and was gathered to his people, leaving a legacy of 12 tribal rulers according to their settlements and camps. Genesis 25:16-17. Hagar's journey stands as a timeless truth for anyone walking through their own wilderness today. It proves that no matter how deep the suffering or how invisible you feel to the world around you, your pain is noticed, your cries are heard, and you are fiercely loved by El Roi, the God who sees you.